Gilech al zevach. We got a little bit further than that last night, but we'll continue. We'll start from Halachiyud. Gilech al zevach. If you took a haircut on a korban, but named to pass and the korban is found to be unfit, then the haircut is no good. And you got to start off from scratch. And any subsequent korban does not work as well. Similarly, if the chatas was the first one you sacrificed and it was done shalol lishma, which means it's no good. Even if you brought the rest of korbanos lishma, since you took your haircut after the chatas, then the haircut is no good. And uzvachav lo and the subsequent korbanos didn't work either. However, what if you did your tiglachas, the haircut on the Olan Shlomim, which are Shalol Lishma? Now, all Shlomim and Shalol Lishma are not kosher for their purpose, but they're kosher as korbanos, right? But korbanos of Lishman, and you brought your korbanos subsequently Lishma afterwards. So, according to Anakama, Tiglachto Psula, the haircut is no good. Uzvachav lo and his korbanos didn't work because the initial korban must be done for the right purpose, for the purpose of canceling the Nazirus. Rabbi Shimon Omer also zevach lo, that korban did not work, the first one, because of Shalol Lishma, but all the other korbanos subsequently did work, and similarly, the haircut works as well. Because he says, as long as it's done on a kosher korban, even if it's not the right korban for this procedure, that's enough to make it a kosher haircut. If you took a haircut on all three of them, and one of them was kosher at least, right, one of the three, then even Tanakama would agree, even the first time would agree in that case, that the haircut was valid. Haircut, he brings the other korbanos when, subsequently. Olas lo tiglachto, says the Gemara, when it says that the korban worked, right, it means not just the korban work, but also the haircut works. Because the tamer olas lo tiglachto, you're going to say that when it says that the korbanos works, it doesn't mean the haircut works as well. So I feel it's vachav lo. Obviously, a korban that is with the korban. If the haircut is no good, the korbanos attached to it are no good either, right? In other words, if the haircut's no good because it was done improper without enough matirim, without enough permission ahead of time, so then of course the korbanos he brought are not good as well. Okay, says the Gemara, Rabbi Yochanan asked, "Ma'u al shami chagiga legalech Rabbi Shimon." Let's say you brought a shlomi which is totally unrelated to being a nazir, right? You brought a shlomi because it's Yom Tov, right? It's cholamoy. You brought a chagiga. So Vilna says, "Rav Lomas Disi is in our Mishnah. In reality, it certainly seems to be good." Because it says here, it says that korban didn't work for him. The korbanos did work for him. So that means that even though that korban was brought, meaning the first korban he brought in the series was not done properly, but since it was a kosher korban, since all Shalom and Shalom Ishma are kosher korbanos, if not true for what they're supposed to be, but they are kosher, period. So therefore, the haircut is valid, and the subsequent korbanos brought lishma are valid, and so too the same thing, logic would dictate that, says the Gemara, actually I don't have to say it outside, the Gemara will say it, so Vafilu Shachton, it says here, even if you slaughtered them, right, Shalol Lishma, it should say, even if you slaughtered them Shalol Lishma, Lo K'Shalmei Nedava Heim, aren't they like Shalmei Nedava? Once they're Shalol Lishma, they're like voluntary. Hadam Raticha Shum Galech Shalmei Nedava Rabbi Shimon. You take a haircut on Shlomim, which are voluntary, and Shalmei Chagiga would seem to be the same thing. Rabbi Yosef ben Amar Avada Barach Rabbi Yochanan Rav Ada Barachua I'm sorry, I misread that line. Says the Gemara, let me start the line again. So this concerns me, that's it's confusing. Rabbi Yosef Ravun Amar, that Rav Ada, the Rabbi Yosef Ravun said that Rav Ada Barach and Rabbi Yochanan had a dispute about this. Rav Ada Barachua, he's not sure if Shalmei Chagiga actually worked, because maybe there it has another purpose, maybe there it's meant for something else. As opposed to Shlomi, which is sacrifice Shalol Lishma, that becomes like generic, it's neutral. So maybe it's only specifically on neutral korbanos, and of course the korban of the Nazir done properly, but not on a korban intended for some other reason. Rabbi Yochanan Pshita, Rabbi Yochanan's pushing that it does work. Okay, it's possible that there has to be the korban changed around the gears, but all right, that's basically what it means.
I'm dying to ask this question. What if it's haircut on a pico chatas?
A pico chatas, it's not going to work. It's a good question. It's not going to work. Okay. Somebody now, he got the blood sprinkled on him, which, I'm sorry, it wasn't sprinkled on him, it was sprinkled on his back. But and it says Nizar Kolav means not sprinkled on him, but sprinkled for him, right? So it's sprinkled on the Mizbeach, and so therefore one of the korbanos was done properly. The Nidma then he became Tomei. Rabbi Lezer says, too bad, you lose, because you didn't take your haircut yet. So therefore, you're not Ois Nazir. You got to start again, right? So it says the Gemara, it says the Mishnah, no, Chachamim say when he gets a chance, he brings the rest of the korbanos, he doesn't have to do this in the zeros again. The haircut is not essential according to Chachamim. Once he brings at least one korban, does it properly, that's sufficient. Okay? Armalo, they said to Rabbi Eliezer, hey, listen, Rabbi Eliezer, Miriam hatad Meiris. There's a story with Miriam from Tadmor. One of the korbanos was sacrificed properly, and then they came to her and they said before she took her haircut, Albito, that her daughter that she's in danger of losing her life. She ran, unfortunately she found her daughter was dead, so she became Tameo, right? So she doesn't have to actually start from scratch. She just brings her other korbanos when she becomes Tahira. So we see here that Chachamim hold that you don't break your Nazirus by becoming Tamei after the korbanos are brought. Okay? Says the Gemara. I got a problem. It's contradiction of Rebbe Lezer. Tam Ramar lo sasar ella, big typo. Ella shiva. The korban Ada and Ridbaz change it. Earlier in the Masechta he said if you became Tamei after one of the korbanos, you only have to count 7 days. Because Marachin here, he says they are not that way. He says you have to count 30 days. It's contradiction. Says Rabbi Yochanan, no, you misunderstood our Mishnah. Soser korban. What he loses is his korbanos, but he doesn't lose the 30. He doesn't have to start from scratch, but he has to bring again all the korbanos, not the korbanos he hasn't brought yet. But Itaka doesn't have to start from scratch. Even Rabbi Lezer agrees that once you brought one korban kedin, the haircut is not impediment, and you don't have to start from scratch in terms of your nazirs, but you have to bring all the 3 korbanos over again. Okay? Says the Gemara, I'm Rabbi Yochanan. Which is there, sorry. Pshita, second line from the bottom. Pshita da. Now, from here for the rest of the parak, which is another 6 lines, nobody understands exactly what's going on. And I don't have my own shot here, so just going to follow here, kind of like the Or Sameach. I think that's the way I'm going to do it, the way he learns the Gemara. Everybody changes gears, so everybody says to tamper with the text. So I'm going to do like the Sameach. Pshita da. It's partial that nitma take away to switch around the words below and nitma. Should be nitma below, and the next word instead of kosher should be noshar. Noshar means the hair fell out, not cut off. Oh. It became nitma, and it became Tomei, and his hair fell out. So in this case, lobada. In this case. He's not, it's no good. In other words, if his hair also fell out without his becoming Tamei, so then, whatever he brought previously to his hair falling out does him no good. Okay? I'm sorry, did I read that right? Pshita nidma below Nasha, right? He became Tamei without his hair falling out, right? So then it's no good. What about the next case here? It says kosher, right? But he changed that to noshar. What if noshar v'achakach nitma? What if his hair fell out and then he became Tamei? Now, if he actually became, so let's what's the more asking? If he got a haircut before becoming Tamei, right? After even have brought one korban, so for sure he's okay. Even according to Rebbe Lezer, it's no problem, right? If on the other end his hair, the Gemara says if he got Tamei before his hair fell out, and of course before a haircut, then according to Rebbe Lezer he has to start his korbanos from scratch. But the Gemara's question is, what if his hair fell out, not cut off, but it fell out and then he became Tamei? So is that as if he got a haircut, or is it not as if he got a haircut? Do you hear the Gemara's question? Yeah. Okay. So it says, Amar Rabbi Chanina, Chanina said, turn the page. V'lo Rabbi Lezer, look, we're going according to Rabbi Lezer, because according to Rabbanan, you don't have to take a haircut. Once you brought one carbon kalacha, it's good enough. This whole question asks, according to Rabbi Lezer, holds that the haircut is an impediment, right? That at least there's one that you don't fulfill your chiyuv of karbanos unless you manage to take a haircut b'tahara, right? You don't have to start Nazir from scratch, but you have to you have to bring your karbanos over again. Says Mar, look, well, Rabbi Lezer Shamuti, Rabbi Lezer is a student of Beis Shammai. And we learned in the Brisa, Nazir umirate. If a Nazir lost his hair, mirate, his hair got pulled out, but not cut, right? He suffered some disease and his hair fell out. There's chemotherapy, Rahman al-Islam saying that. Beis Shammai tzarech lavir tal rosho. Beis Shammai says he's still got to put a razor over his head. Symbolic, right? He has to put a razor over his head. Do we have that previous in Masechus? I don't remember if we had that.
No, it's like the toughest down bris.
That's like the toughest down bris, that's right. I think you have to draw blood, though.
Right.
Right. We discussed a bald guy, a guy who started out bald, not a guy who, yeah. So, Beis Shammai ain't tzarech lavir tar, B'Shomim ain't tzarech lavir tar. There's no symbolic thing. So Keni mas nisa. So, according to this, this is, our Mishnah said, Yutar v'yavi shar karbono. Our Mishnah said you have to become tor and bring the rest of his karbonos. So based on what we just learned in Beis Shammai, we have to say Rabbi Lezer gave us to tire utgaleach v'tovi shar karbono. She has to be it says it doesn't say tgaleach. Actually, I put that in, and I should not put that. I should change it slightly differently. To tire v'tavir tar. She should whoever the Mishnah we're talking about. Right, Miriam Tadmoris, it's a woman, so using the grammatically, we're using the feminine form. To tire, she should become Torah, and she should bring a tar, v'tavi shar karbana, and bring the rest of her carbon. But according to Rabbi Lezer, it will come out that she actually has to bring all the carbonas from scratch. Because Rabbi Lezer would hold, like Beis Shammai, that you need a symbolic haircut. Even if you don't have hair, you need a symbolic haircut. So if she became Tomei, or he became Tomei, and his hair fell out, and then he became Tomei, so nevertheless, afterwards, you still need a symbolic haircut. So therefore, that symbolic haircut would require, it seems, according to Rabbi Lezer, according to Rabbanan, you don't have to bring any subsequent karbonos, right? You only have to, you just bring your subsequent karbonos. You don't have to bring whatever karbonos you already brought. But according to Rabbi Lezer, you have to bring all the karbonos when you do the symbolic shaving of the head. So let's just go through that again. Beis Shammai says a Nazir who went bald needs a symbolic shaving. Beis Hillel says they do not. So according to Beis Shammai, according to Rabbanan, if you already brought one carbon, and then your hair fell out, so and then you became Tomei, so you become Tar, and you bring the rest of your karbonos. It's not material whether now you shave or not, right? It's probably a mitzvah according to Beis Shammai to go like this with a razor, but it's not essential. But according to Rabbi Lezer, since going over the head with a razor is an essential thing, even for a bald guy, so therefore he would hold you have to become Tar, shave with it to bring a carbon over again, because your initial karbonos were not connected to a tiglachas, and then shave the symbolic shaving of the head. Okay, so again, according to Rabbanan, you continue where you left off. Whenever you come Tar, according to Lezer, you have to start from scratch. And that's because according to Rabbanan, the shaving is not an impediment. According to Lezer, it's not an impediment to you to begin your zeros from scratch, but it's an impediment to your capacity for the karbonos to have worked. So that's why you have to bring your karbonos from scratch again if you became tummy without having shaved. Okay, new parak, very easy next to the rest of the blot tonight. Kohen Gadol, interesting too. Kohen Gadol of a Nazir, Kohen Gadol who is a Nazir. Kohen Gadol or a Nazir. They can't go to any Levites, even their close relatives. Except they're walking down the road, Motzu Meis Mitzvah. They found a Meis Mitzvah. Meis Mitzvah is a dead body which has nobody to bury it. So Lezer Yitami, you can become Yitami Kohen Gadol, Yitami Nazir. the Kohen Gadol and Nazir are walking down the street together. So who goes to the Meis Mitzvah? So Rebbe says the Kohen Gadol. Yitami Nazir. The Nazir should go. Yitami Kohen Gadol, not the Kohen Gadol. Rebbe Lezer. So what's my logic? Yitami Kohen Sheina Meivi Korban Atomaso. We see that the prohibition of a Kohen becoming Tameh is less severe than that of a Nazir becoming Tameh, because a Kohen becomes Tameh does not bring a Korban, whereas the other way. Kohen who becomes Tameh does not bring a Korban, whereas a Nazir does, right? So must be more severe. Amaloi said on the contrary. Yitami Nazir, the Nazir become Tameh, Kedusha also Kedusha Shah. He doesn't have permanent Kedusha. Yitami Kohen, as opposed to Kohen Kedusha, so Kedusha Solomon, he has permanent Kedusha. So therefore, it is more proper for the Nazir to become Tameh. That's a big machlokas. See if it says, V'akol nafshos meis lo yavo. It says by Kohen, on all dead bodies he should not come, meaning he should not have anything to do with them. Manakim, what are we talking about? Im lo sro, now that's what it says by Kohen Gadol. Im lo sro, it's going to tell us that he can't have Levites of his more distant relatives and friends. There's no words to the Kohen Hedyot, where it already says a Kohen Hedyot can only go to Levites of his father, his mother, his sister and brother, and so on and so forth. So, it must be that if it's not talking about the ones who are distant from him, must be that in the Kohen must be talking about his own close relatives. So it says more, I understand. It says a kol nafshos, and then it says, actually, I should say, the Gemara is now asking a different question. Gemara is taking a different tack. Gemara asks, how do we know that Kohen Gadol, then for Kohen, or Kohen Gadol for that matter, Kohen Gadol, how a Kohen Gadol, or a Kohen for that matter, can be metame for a Meis Mitzvah? It says, a kol nafshos meis lo yavo, right? Any dead body he can't approach. So if you say, you said he can go to a Meis Mitzvah. How come? So it says the Gemara, Amar Rabbi Chia Baba Bagamda. Rabbi Chia Baba says, "Mikan from here we learn out, or here's a manifestation better of Isar Achar Isar, that Isar Achar Isar B'Torah El Hatir." That whenever you have a prohibition, after a prohibition of Torah, it's like Ribui Achar Ribui Enuel Lamait, right? And you have two prohibitions, one after another, they really cut to permit. So it says in the pasuk, though he doesn't bring it down over here, it says, Lavivli Mo, Akonav Shos Meis Le'evo, Lavivli Mo Lo Yitama. So isn't it obvious? He can't go to his father and mother's Levi, it says, Akonav Shos Meis. So why is it going to say his father and mother afterwards? So it's an additional superfluous isser after the first one. So whenever we have that, it comes to tell us that somebody actually to whom it's mutter to go to the Leviah. Who's the mutter person? Or Meis Mitzvah. Right, yeah.
It sounds like a klal prat.
No, what?
You could be, if it were a klal prat, would it be the same?
No, it would be different. You're right. I don't know why. I'm not sure.
Just because the Masorah wasn't.
Yeah, I guess it wasn't.
It's a generalization, and this is special.
Yeah, you're right. It could be a cloud prod. I'm not sure why it's not a cloud prod. I don't know. I guess because it can't serve as a prod because there's nothing which would be similar to your father and mother. So it's not a prod from which we can infer. We need to infer from a cloud. No, cloud prod and cloud. Mashabrat. Yeah, but the Yerushalmi didn't have that meter before. The Yerushalmi had a different meter for cloud prod. The Yerushalmi had a different meter. I forget what it learned already from a cloud prod. It was on Daf Kav Zayin or base. There's a called prod. Yeah, the cloud prat there is take l'chayev kol echad ve'echad. You talk about Klal Prat. I think it was more specific. I remember prior to that. Somewhere prior to that, I think it was more explicit. Like it was on Daf Chav Daled base. Yeah, Yerushalmi and Chav Daled base said Kol. See, it is in line with Yerushalmi. It says wherever we say Kol the Vashir B'Chlav Yotz Min HaKlal Lamed Lo Lamed Al Atzma Yotza Lamed Al Klal Kulo Yotza. The way Yerushalmi learns Klal Prat is that it actually comes to teach us something about the entire principle, not the way the Bavli learns Klal Prat. So I don't know exactly what the Bavli does over here. I didn't look today at the Bavli to see what it says here. But according to Yerushalmi Taka, whenever you have a specification after generalization, at least in Nazir, you have a specification after generalization, so then the specification actually comes to teach us something about the generalization. And that would make sense in the context of this Gemara. Not the way we would normally learn a Klal Prat, that Ein B'Klal Ela Mashma Prat. Taka. This would be a Taka, different way of learning. Okay. Good question, though. So it says, Gemara, El Hatir Meis Mitzvah. So comes the Matir Meis Mitzvah. Isaboy in the Shmir Midah. Some people want to be Matir Meis Mitzvah from here, because it says, Lo Yitama, by a Kohen, it says, Lo Yitama Baal Ba'amav, a husband should not become Tomei among his nation. And we dash that Ba'amav Eino Mitamei, among his nation, where there are other people in the nation to be involved with this corpse, they doesn't come Tomei. L'meis mitzvah, Matami l'meis mitzvah, but l'meis mitzvah does become Tomei. Izbay nishmana me'adei, some people want to learn from here. It says, Le'cholo, to defile him. Top of Lam Gimel Rav, Le'cholo ain't a Matami, that which defiles him, ain't a Matami. Matami al meis mitzvah is like, it's a super thing, it's a very chashuv thing, so therefore they're taka. It's not being machal him, it's uplifting him, it's being makadosh him, I guess, I don't know exactly. So therefore he's allowed to do it. Some people want to learn out from here. This is an interesting limud. It says, Ki kilas elokim talui. It says, whenever you see the something which is like a curse of Hashem, somebody who's like a curse of Hashem hanging, you have to bury him on that day. It says, Kavartik brenu bayomahu, right? That somebody's hanging on a gallows, right? So you have to bury him, right? So Eshu Musar, so we touch the apostle Eshu Musar Kilas Hashem. He who was commanded not to blaspheme Hashem, for which reason somebody is strung up after he's stoned. So somebody who's permitted, who's prohibited from blaspheming Hashem, Musar al Meis Mitzvah. We're commanded to bury him if he's a Meis Mitzvah. Kavortik Brenu, right? V'she'enu Muzar Kilos Hashem. Those who are not commanded Kilos Hashem, meaning Goyim. Enu Muzar Meis Mitzvah. You find their corpses on the road, you're not muchli to bury them, right? Hey, so when they ask the question, wait a minute, how can you say this? Harei Akum. Elu Shem Yislasam B'Tliya, right? This is a Goyim. If they blaspheme Hashem, they also get strung up, right? So how come they, I'm sorry, I mispunctuated. What about Harei Akum? What about Goyim? They also get killed for having blasphemed. So therefore, if you find a Goy on the road, you should have dinner meis mitzvah and have to bury him as well. So it says the Gemara, specifically those who you can find hanging, where they don't hang goyim, right? Have goyim yatzazek, because goyim are killed not by stoning and hanging, but rather by should be beside those killed by sword. So therefore, there's no din of meis mitzvah if you find a goy lying on the street. Okay, right, or crucifixion, right? A kohen is not muchli to bury him. Says Gemara, kavor mitzvah saseh. It says in Dvarim there when he's hanging, bury him, right? Kavor it's mitzvah saseh. That about him. But I don't know that if he was killed by a sword, you bury the sword. When he was hung by the tree, you bury the tree. If he's suffocated, you bury the garment which is used to suffocate him. So what does it say? It says Tikbarenu, and that's a reboot, it's an extra word, so it teaches us bury him and everything which causes death when he's killed by a court. Yochel Yikbaru, it's a typo, Carbonate says, Yochel Yikbaru, do you bury the implements together with the body? No, Tamlamaki Kavor, Tikbarenu, two separate words. Kvura Lo, you bury him, and Uleitol Lavno, and his sticks and stones, which killed him, you bury them separately. Now, not literally separately, but hey, Ketzat, how do you bury them? You bury them, Mamik Shlosha, you bury them 3 tvarim beneath the ground, somewhere else other than, I guess, in his grave, in order that a plow should not dig it up when they're plowing. So you have to dig them sufficiently deep. I guess it is somewhere else from him. You just bury them sufficiently deep that a plow doesn't dig them up, but you don't have to bury them in some specially designated area, the stick and the stones and whatever is used to kill. Okay?
So any implement of basting?
When they kill somebody with it. Yeah. Molten lead gets in the body.
Yeah.
Doesn't come out.
The cleave, the poison.
I don't think they have to. That's not what killed him. It's the lead. So the lead gets buried with him anyway, Taka. It's buried in him.
Not the vice that kept him out open.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a good question. Yeah, the whole wooden tree. Yeah. Okay.
Do we have that in the box?
I think it is about. I think it's an Hedra here. Says the Gemara. Now, getting back to Tikbarenu, you bury him. Mikanshim Shir Mimeno, if you leave part of him out of the grave, lost the Klavin for the mitzvah. Shamar Kikavor Tikbarenu, right? Kikavor, you have to bury him the entirety. Tikbarenu, now, again, with Ashi's words, Kikavor Tikbarenu, each one of Lutash already several times, I think it's just an asmachta, but Mikanshim Nasa Meis Mitzvah Ad Sheyehei Rosh of Rubo. It's not Meis Mitzvah if you find body parts. You have to find the head and the majority of the torso in order to be a Meis Mitzvah. Okay, for a Kohen, of course, or Nazir to be required to bury him. Tani Rabbi Yossi Yaso Kumi Rabbi Yochanan Reyaso in front of Rabbi Yochanan following Brayso Shem Shodem Mitami Meis Mitzvah. So the person become tummy for a Meis Mitzvah for a dead body. Kachdam Mitami El Emer Meis Mitzvah. So to me Mitami on the body part. Armle Rabbi Yochanan said V'yesh Kein Zu. Is that talk? Is there such a thing in this pasuk? It can't be. It says Tikbarenu, right? That's not a Meis Mitzvah because it's not the majority, not a mace. It's just body parts. So it says, Rabbi Yaakov, Baracha, B'Shem Rabbi Zira said, you're right. A single body part not have to bury. The Potter explained that when you have to bury body parts only, I skipped the word, B'chozer ti Potter. Only when the body is there and it's just splintered apart. So then you go back to take the other limb. So then that's considered to be part of the Meis Mitzvah. In other words, the Kohen saw the head and the majority of the torso there, and there were parts severed from the body, then you can go back to pick those up and bury them as well. Okay? Says the Gemara, Tani Rabbi said, I did not know this, but a Kohen is not even allowed to be in a room with an Avram min achai. Was Avram min achai? They amputate a limb. It's matame. You knew that? No, it's a chiddush, right? It's not just a dead body. If they amputate a person's limb, look at the next story. Says the Gemara, Einam odam matame lever chaim raviv. Avol odam matame, a person is allowed to become tamei. I'll add some kisora miaviv. On a bone the size of a barley corn, even though that makes tuma, if you touch it, it makes you tamei, but that's not an Avram min achai. It's not mitame to the same extent. So therefore, I think it's not matame, but I think an Avraham, I forget how, an Avraham maybe is tamei if you carry it, and somehow an Avram min achai is more stringent than tumor, I forget how. Than just a,
doesn't fill the room with tumor?
No, for that you need head and majority of torso of the corpse. I don't know. Maybe because in Aver there's a chi of kfura and not on less than that. I'm not sure why. I don't remember why. But I don't remember if there's more tumor. It's just more significant. Probably just more significant. So anyway, we don't make a shame. The Chayte so changes according to, based on the sifra On the Bryce it says, Kishem, Rayudah Mer Kishem She'en Adam Matame Etz Gesar Me'aviv. No, just like he can't become Tameh on his Kishem She'en Adam Matame Etz Gesar Me'aviv, he can't become Tameh. Kain Ein Matame Eivrim Min Achai Me'aviv. He's got to leave the room. In other words, for both, he's got to leave the room, not just for, or not come into contact with them. No, now leave the room, I guess. No, but leaving the room won't be a problem. I guess because they're not. I don't think that Eivrim Min Achai spreads the room with Tumah. I think it's only if he touches it. But could be I'm wrong about that. Let's see if I can find it quickly in Shulchan Aruch.
It takes on the significance of a dead body.
Yeah, but I don't think it's with Tommy. It feels from. I'm not sure, but I don't think it does. I think you have to have the majority of the skeleton. I'm pretty sure about that. Or most of the robinion, meaning most of the spinal column. I think that's what you have to have. It doesn't say what it just says Eimetamileh. I'm pretty sure it means you can't touch them, not that you can't go into a room. It doesn't say what the parameters are. See, the following mice is talking going to be shver. That's what's bothering me. The following mice is talking to be shver, but if you hold like I'm saying, but I think I'm thinking correct about it anyway. So, not clear, but I'm pretty sure about that. So in any event, really should know what Eivrim Min Achai has been telling me. Let me just see if Moshe says anything.
So that means in a hospital in Israel.
Yeah, look at the next one. That's what I'm about to speak about. That's what's going to bother me. Says Ma'aseh Yossi ben Pachsas. It was a Kohen. Sholas Numia, Rav Numia had some sort of gangrene, so his leg had to be amputated. Nichos Ravi the doctor came into cut it. Amar Lo, so he said, when you have a hairbreadth left, Hodiani, let me know. So Chotche was cutting it. And obviously he was awake for this operation, right? And he let him know. Because he called Nechuni his son. Maybe Nechuni was touching him, he was certainly in the room. Normally said, Nechuni b'nei ad kana yisachayev l'tapo. Till now you had to deal with me. You can't say now you have to leave the room. Because you can't become Tomei through my Eivrim Min Achai. So it sounds here like it's Metame Bohel, because it's not to leave the room. But I don't think so. I'm really bothered by it. I think that he's only Metame if he touches it. I don't know. But from here it's certainly mashma that it's the room, right? So anyway, he told him to leave. When this came to Chom, they said praiseworthy. This very praiseworthy. Why? Tzaddik oved b'tzidko. There's a tzaddik which gets destroyed or lost by his tzaddik. So that sounds like a negative, but they turn around and made it positive. HaTzadik oved, the tzaddik is getting destroyed b'tzidko imo. In other words, who's concerned in this great pain that he says, and just wait a minute in the middle of the amputation so I can tell my son to go out. Only a big tzaddik is going to be concerned like that. So that shows what a big tzaddik Yosef ben Paxos was. Okay? Ezu meis mitzvah. Who's a meis mitzvah? Koshu hu tzovech. Anytime he shouts, ve'im b'nei. Now, it's just saw in Shulchan Aruch, by the way. The mitzvah, the halacha is that if a kohen, it's not put down here in the Yerushalmi, but I guess it's in the Bavli, or we'll have it later on, that if a father is missing, if a father's amputee, then a Kohen's son can't go to his levaya, and vice versa. He's only metame to his father if his father's whole. Just like he's not metame to his father's Avram bin Achai, he's not metame to his father's partial body. That's what it says there. Okay, so maybe we'll get there. Okay, so it says the Gemara, Ezu meis mitzvah. What's meis mitzvah? Koshu tzovech. He shouts for people to come to help him out. Ve'im neir boim. People don't come, either they don't hear him or have nothing to do with him. Bob neir, people say he come to deal with the meis mitzvah. Harei zeh mosheches yodo, so the Kohen or Nazir disentangles himself from the involvement. Ad heichon. Now, how much does he have to disentangle himself? Now, normally a Kohen can't go to any levaya, but once it's a meis mitzvah, even if he managed to get other people to deal with it, right? That other people, when he brought other people to the scene, nevertheless, he's allowed a rate to participate because he became involved. So therefore, if there are enough pallbearers and people to back up the pallbearers and backups of the backups, then he doesn't get involved. But even to be a backup, he's allowed to, because even though Kohen normally shouldn't go to any levaya, but once he had the heter mitzvah kick in at the beginning, he's allowed to continue his involvement, right? Also, it's only if they don't need him for the covet of the levaya. If they need him for the honor of this meis mitzvah, then Lobada, in that case, he's not restricted, he can go. And B'Shena Makirim also. This is also talking about that people don't know this meis mitzvah is. In other words, he's not just an anonymous dead person. Avim Makirin also, but they know him, then the Kohen is allowed to continue being involved because of his honor. And
he is allowed to be?
Yes, he is. Once you start with that, they're meis mitzvah. Okay? B'shein kvodo. And also this is where it's not the covet of the mace that this Kohen be involved. If it's the honor of the mace, Lobada, in that case, the Kohen also is not charged to separate himself from involvement. Again, it's all assuming that he got the heter meis mitzvah to begin with. Because otherwise, even if it's a covet for the individual involved, the Kohen can't call the levaya, right? So that might be certain traditional rabbis' heter here. They hold that they're for the covet of the person who dies, they're allowed to go. But l'maisa, that's not a heter, only if you start out being a meis mitzvah. Now, once you said this, a very famous Gemara here, actually, in terms of, you'll see in a minute. Maushi tame Kohen l'kovet anasi. Can a Kohen go to the nasi's levaya? Now, nasi is, of course, somebody like Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, right? What? Right, yeah. No, but actually, they use this whole sugi is used for whether people go to kvarim of tzaddikim. Kohanim can go to kvarim of tzaddikim. Because some kohanim are made to go to a kever of a tzaddik, and they say the kever is not matami. Well, the truth is, even though they bring this Gemara as their source, it's not really a good proof. Because this Gemara is talking about specifically the levaya, not going to the kever afterwards, just the levaya, for the honor of that individual. And it sounds like it's really matame, right? But they're allowed to do it anyway because the honor of the person involved, because it was like a meis mitzvah. That's what Mor's going to say. So it really doesn't apply to going to the kever. It really is not a good raya. Kadamach Rabbeinu Nasi, when Rabbeinu Nasi died, Achos Rabbeinu made a pronouncement of Amar, Ein kuna yom. There's no kuna today. All the Kohanim should go to Levaya. How they might come into contact with the dead body, they're allowed to go to Levaya nonetheless. Rabbi Yehuda Nasir bar Breda Rabbi Yehuda Nasir. Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, the grandson of Yehuda Nasi, no, Yehuda Nasi, the Ta'amoira, who's usually called Rabbi Yehuda Nasir. Dochaf Rabbi Chia, I'm sorry, but I saw no sense. When the grandson died, Rabbi Chia pushed the Rabbi Zir bar Ba, B'knishta the Gufna, he pushed him into the shul among the grapevines in Tzipori, U'Mesave made him tummy, right? Even though he was a Kohen, in order to go to Levaya. Kadamchis Yudaine, when Yudaine Achse Rabbi Nasir, the granddaughter of Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, the sister of Rabbi Yehuda Nasir died, Shal Rabbi Yehuda wanted to get Rabbi Marna, was the Kohen to come to Levaya. He didn't go. They said, look it, if during their lifetimes I wouldn't be matami to go to a sister's Levaya, right? I can't go to a sister's Levaya during his lifetime. So Koshkein, certainly Achar, or my Koshkein Misasa, even certainly once the Nasi has died, so therefore I can't go to her Levaya. Okay, the name Moshe is a different shot. It's a little bit difficult, I think now I'm thinking about it. I think what he means to say is that. I'm not sure exactly what it means to say. I guess I have to learn the Kormei. Now I'm not so sure I like it. He says, if you want to go, I want to go to Nasi's sister Levaya while she was alive. While the Nasi was alive, now the Nasi's dead, I'm certainly not going to his sister Levaya. He's a Kohen, right? So therefore he's not Mechuyev to go. Okay? So Taka, what's the svara? She's not a Nasi. Why should he go to the Nasi's sister Levaya? So it says, Gemara, Amar Nasser, and Nasser said, the logic is, Misasan, also a son Kameis Mitzvah. After their death, especially this Nasi's sister, while her husband and while her brother Nasi was alive, if she had died then, so a lot of people would have come to Levaya, right? Because she's the Nasi's sister. Now Nasi's dead, not so many people are going to come to Levaya because her grandeur has faded, right? So therefore, at this point, she's like a Meis Mitzvah, and therefore you should go as a Kohen to Levaya. Now I know, of course, we don't pass that way, but that's how that was the contempt. People, once you got involved, as long as there is enough for his covet, you're allowed to participate. So to here, if there's not enough people for the covet of the mace, because the mace was a Nasi or from the Nasi's house, they made it as if it had that same parameter mace mitzvah.
No, I'm confused. Before we said that if you didn't know who the person was, then you can... No,
not if you didn't know who the person was. If you didn't know who the person was, then once there are enough people who are involved, the pallbearers and the backup pallbearers, the back of the backups, you can't be involved.
No.
Right. But if you know who the guy was...
That's a classic mace mitzvah. You don't know who the person... No one knows who the person is.
Right, but there are other types of mace mitzvah. They're saying mace mitzvah where you know the guy was a Talmid Chacham. But there's nobody to bury him. Right. So that's also mace mitzvah. In that case, you can go to Levaya, we said, even if there aren't enough pallbearers, you're just in there for his covet. Once you got the carte blanche of mace mitzvah, so then you continue on in that vein. Okay? Okay, so it says the Gemara, Ma'ush Yitam Milakavad Rabo. Can a Kohen go to his Rebbe's Levaya? Rabbi Yana Zira, Dameh Chamoy, Rabbi Yana Zira, his father-in-law died. So I have a Chamoy, who have a Chamoy, the same guy was father-in-law, have a Rabbi was also his Rebbe. So Shoal, Rabbi Yossi asked Rabbi Yossi, Vasale, and Rabbi Yossi forbade him to go to Levaya. Shama Rabbi Chamos, Rabbi Chama heard this. He said, Yitamulo, Vamar Yitamulo. He said he should become Tameh. Why should he become Tameh? If not because it's his father-in-law, at least because he's a Rebbe. Okay? So father-in-law might not be a sufficient reason, but Rebbe is sufficient reason. Now, Rabbi Yossi, when Rabbi Chama, when Rabbi Yossi died, or somebody else died, maybe it's Rabbi Chama, I'm not sure exactly who died, but somebody else died, Nidmulo Talmidah, the students went to Levaya, even though they cried him, but Ochlu Basa V'Shasu Yayin. But at the same time, they ate meat and drank wine while they were owning him. In other words, before the body was buried, which of course is forbidden. One have two mistakes you did not escape from. If you are availing, why did you eat meat? Drink wine. If you're not availing, why did you become Tommy? Okay? Now we're going to take it even further. Can a Kohen become Tommy because he wants to learn Torah? An amazing question. He has to go through a place which is Tommy to get to the base medrash. He's allowed to do so. So Rabbi Yossi was sitting and learning. Misa, and they brought in a corpse to the base of Knesset. And he had Kohanim in his class. Madi Yosef lay, those who remained in attendance. Lo Marklum, he didn't tell them anything to leave. Madi Nofi lay, those who left because they brought in a corpse. Lo Amar lay, he didn't say anything to them either. So we don't know exactly what he held. It seems he didn't know it himself what to say. He said, my father would not pass underneath the awnings in Kesarim because there were mason there, and he didn't want to become Tommy. Rabbi Ami said actually it was a suffix there were mason there. Rabbi Ami, there was also Kohen, he went because he held there was no suffix or it wasn't a problem. Now, a story. Rabbi Chizka and Rabbi Cohen, guess who the Kohen was? Rabbi Chizka and Rabbi Cohen and Rabbi Yaakov Rachav in Thailand, they were walking but Palti of the Kesarim in the plaza in Kesarim. They came to one of these arches, the Upirish, arches, I think it's an arch. And Upirish Rabbi Cohen went on the side. They reached the place which was unquestionably tar because that's when he came back to them. Armalone, so he said to them, Rabbi Cohen said to his two companions, while I was walking away from you, what were you learning? So, Rabbi Chizka, Rabbi Yaakov Barach, Rabbi Chizka said to Rabbi Yaakov Barach, the one companion to the other, don't tell him. Why not? So, we don't know why he told him why not to. We're putting the word Mishum here, is Mishum, the Parish lay, is because he's separated from them, therefore, take out the Dalit, Bosh, they were upset. Why? Because they held that a Kohen, he come to Talmud Torah, they were speaking and learning, and they should remain with them. We don't know if that's the reason why they're upset, or because he was a nuisance. Right? Suicide is like a sarson. So it distorts the words of the rabbis. And we don't know if that's why they were upset at him. Tani, we learned Matami Kohen Biyotzi L'Chutzlaretz. A Kohen go out of Chutzlaretz only for the following things. Kohen's not allowed to leave Eretz Yisrael. Chutzlaretz is Tomei, right? You only leave Eretz Yisrael for the Mominus, Spindel matters, the Nefashos. That means it really means you have to testify in a court case. The Nefashos, that's by the capital crime. Yeah. Kiddush HaChodesh, to testify in a Kiddush HaChodesh, or for a leap year. But to save somebody else's field where a goy is threatening it. To learn Torah, lest you should get married. Right? We don't marry him. If he's got someone to learn Eretz Yisrael, time. You're going to have this in Ksuvas, in the Bavli, then the Ksuvas. It says if he's got someone to learn Torah in Chutzlaretz, time you shouldn't go to in Eretz Yisrael, shouldn't go to Chutzlaretz to learn. Even if he has someone to learn Eretz Yisrael, Yitami, you should go to Chutzlaretz to come Tami. Shalom Yakol Adam Zech Limod. Everybody learns better in a different location, so maybe he'll dafka learn better if he goes to Chutzlaretz, right? Amrullah, they said Rabbi Yosef Cohen. Shayotzi Acha Rabbo, he followed his Rebbe, who was going to Chutzlaretz, Matame, Yotzi Rabbo Sidon, he went to Sidon with him. Because to learn Torah, allowed to follow your Rebbe even to Chutzlaretz. Avalom, they said, well, Yetzik going to Chutzlaretz is going for Shidduch. You shouldn't go Elikadif Tichlo Isha, unless they promised him a wife. But you should have gone to Suffolk, maybe he'll find a shidduch. He has to have definite battle plan how he's going to find a wife there.
What about other reasons for going out, like Sekonos Nefashos?
Yeah, we're not talking about those. I'll tell you about that. Those kinds of things. I think those are pashut. I think they're yeah. Maushi Tami Kohen Gold says Kohen Gold, but really it's a regular Kohen. Any Kohen, let's use Kapayim to Duchen, right? So it's Gevila, that was his name. Gevila, Achoy Rabbi Bar Kohen, Amar Rabbi Yosef, Shem Rabbi Yocha, Shem Rabbi Yocha, Matami Kasius Karai. Let's say there's a mace in the shul. So the Kohen can be Matami in order to duchen in the shul. Even though it means becoming Tomei. Shem Rabbi Yaakov Amar, Rabbi Yaakov, in whose name, whose name is quoted, said, Amar, Ano lo amisle klub. I didn't say anything of the sort. I didn't tell him that such a thing is permissible. Chazar Amar, he said, perhaps, Rabbi Yaakov said, you know what, Odilon, perhaps lo shomini, he didn't hear what he claimed from me, but rather heard something else. So, Kai de Mar Yehuda bar Pozi Shem Lozer, that which I heard Pozi the name of Lozer, Kol Kohen turn based on Knesses. And I said, ain't Kohen standing shul. Ve'ino Tzakapa doesn't do. Chod Oirvat say transgress the mitzvah say Birkos Kohanim. B'Sover Meimar, and he must have thought, Gevila, the mitzvah say, the mitzvah say Birkos Kohanim, it's a mitzvah say, the Zdoich of the mitzvah Losa say, if the Nara Kohen should not become Tomei. Or says, the Gemara on top of Lo Medal Mouth, again Rabbi Yaakov said, I don't know really, but I didn't say this then, right? Isune, bring him here, Bana Malkli, and I bring him here and I'm going to flog him. Because I never said such a thing. I know because the say Birkas Kohanim is obviously not a compelling one. It's not a mitzvah chiyuvis. It's one which if you fulfill, it's good, but it's not one you're compelled to fulfill. Therefore, may not push off a lot. Rabbi Yossi Master B'Klishta Medartil Kesari. Avo was sitting and learning in the shul in a certain level in Kesari. Medarta is a place in Kesari. I don't know exactly what it was. Anyway, Vavatam Misa, there was a corpse there. He got honest Nasius Kapayim. The time came to Duchen. Lo Shalom Lei. They didn't ask him whether they should remain. The Kohanim or students didn't ask him whether they can remain to Duchen. He answered the Mechla, so the time to eat came. Also, B'Shalom, they came and asked, should we stay to Duchen? Armalon, they said, on the Nasius Kapayim, Lo Shalton Yossi. You didn't ask me about Duchening. Mechla Shalton Yossi, and on eating you're going to ask me? No, don't you think it's a little bit too late? You should have asked the question earlier. Kachamin, when they heard this, each one of them, Shamat Garme, excused himself, Arak, and ran away. Because they could tell that he was displeased. They had not asked earlier. Okay? Rav said, fascinating halacha. B'tamei Kohen liros hamelech. A Kohen can become Tomei in order to go see a king. Why? It's such a big thing to see as king. Katsolik Duklinus Malka. Lachem Diocletian, the king, came to Eretz Yisrael. Chamel Rabbichia, they saw Rabbichia, who were the guests of the Kohen. Mitzvah, he was stepping al Kivraya the Tzor on the graves in Tyre, beginning with Chaneh in order to see him. Rabbi Chizkiah, Rabbi Yerushalmi B'Shem Yochanan said, why is it a mitzvah liros gedoli malchus? Why isn't it to see kings and queens? When the kingship of David is renewed, for each people know the difference between the Goyish kingship and the Jewish kingship. Can a Kohen become Tari for an honor of his father and mother? For Kibbut Aveim. Rabbi Yassi Shama in this vein, Rabbi Yassi heard the Asis Imilu Botra. Rabbi Yassi was learning Eretz Yisrael, and he was a Kohen. Here his mother's going to Butzra, it's in Chutz, right outside the boundary of Eretz Yisrael. Also, Vishal Rabbi Yochanan went to ask Rabbi Yochanan, Malat says, can I leave Eretz Yisrael to go to greet her? Amalei says, this is kind of like what you asked before. If it's because there's a danger on the road and you're going to protect your mother, say, then that's okay. But if it's only for the honor of your mother, and you're there, I don't know what the halacha is. It's still a question of Rabbi Yochanan. but nevertheless, his Talmud Rabbi Yasser kept on pleading with him. And he said, he decided to go. You come back in peace. So you might think that he was just telling him, stop being a nundik, if you want to go, go. But Shlomo Rabbi Elazar heard and said, there's no greater permission to go. Because he told him such a flowery and wonderful language, it means that he decided that Kohen may go to Chutz La'aretz for the mitzvah of Kibbut Avim. Right? That's what it says here. Right? Can a person come to me because of the honor of the rabbi? In other words, he has to go say shiur or something of that sort. So, says the Gemara, it means actually here, the Kormei says to accompany them on their road. There are two parallel pathways from point A to point B. One is further a distance, but it's tar. It's for sure tar. One of them is a shorter distance, but it's tamei. If the master going on the long pathway, we go with them. And if not, if the master going on the short pathway, allowed to go even the short path may cover rabbi because of the honor of the masters with whom you're going. That I only know it's true about a tumah rabbanan. I feel tumah Torah, but is that true even about tumah d'oraisa? So it says, Rabbi Zero, the average Rabbi Zero said, God will cover our brios, shudech mitzvahs losa, say sha'achas. It says, the God will cover our brios, pushes off a lot for momentarily, whatever time that is. You know, if you have covered brios, it can push off a lot, even d'oraisa. Hadar Maraz teaches us that I feel with tumah shayim even a tumah d'oraisa, then you can say that that covenant rabbim, like covenant brios, pushes it off. Now it's interesting because we don't actually hold that. We hold that it has to dafka be a d'rabbanan. It says lo saseh shebetorah means a specific lo saseh Torah, the lo saseh of not listening to the rabbis. But any other lav, the rice, and taka, covenant brios does not push off. So if you see somebody ripping down, walking down the street shotness, you're allowed to rip off the clothes. Because there's no covenant brios by shotness, because that's the doraisa. But the Yerushalmi, even by doraisa, is considered covenant brios, not as long as it's covenant rabbi. Right? As long as it's not just your personal honor, but the honor of a large segment of Klal Yisrael, so then you don't have to, debase yourself in public. Okay? Someone else. No. You don't have to base anybody.
So in this case, the Israelis are more respectful to other people than the Chutz La'aretz.
In what respect? Even the Raisas. Yeah, it sounds like that. That's true. Rabbi Yonah, Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yossi, Shem, Rabbi Yossi said, "Ain't cholim." Now, what's the topic of Mason? Where you just go on a tangent. Ain't cholim who halachos lifnei mitaso shel mace. You don't involve yourself in halachic discussions when you're in front of a corpse. Says Maraki says for Rabbi Yochanan Shol Rabbi Yana Kumi Arsi Rabbi Shimon ben Yotzoda. Rabbi Yochanan asked the following lomish question to Rabbi Yana in front of the stretcher of how much Rabbi Shimon ben Yotzodak's body was laid out. Hikti Sholos Lebedek Abayis. That's a question which is totally irrelevant to Hilchos Avelos. Asked what's the status of somebody who took his oil and consecrated from Bedek Abayis. Vuah Magibla, and he responded. So it says Muhammad, they said I'm sorry. Vumagivle. He said, I skipped a couple lines. He said, Maskin Lasidra. So he said that he only responded to him when they were going to shul. In other words, after Levi. He didn't respond to him during Levi itself. Says the Gemara, Rabbi Yirmiyah, Rabbi Zira, Kumi, Rabbi Zira asked Rabbi Zira a question, Kumi asked Rabbi Shimon, Rabbi Shmuel from these two coffins, he asked the Shiloh, Vumagivla, and he responded. So he said, Kadhava Rachi Kava Magivla. The only response when they were far away from the coffin. Kadhava Korban, they're near the coffin, Loava Magivla, he wouldn't respond to him in learning. Time he learned.
Yeah, but he still asked the question in front of the...
Yeah, that was his mistake. That was an error, but the guy didn't answer him because he had made a mistake. Says the Gemara, Tani, Hakatofim, the pallbearers, we don't have this minhag nowadays. So somebody has to sound now to wear shoes. Shemi Pasik sandals Shachamim, because maybe one of their sandals will split. Venim some Misaka Mitzvah, they're going to stop carrying the coffin. Rabbi Zira Sora B'Diburi. Rabbi Zira was in the middle of talking and he collapsed. He was giving a hesed. Asum boy miskafunis, so they went to pick him up. And they found him beyond it, he was very much weakened. And it was kind of, I guess, a shock because he was known to be a strong fellow. So they said to him, Malachim, what's going on? He said back to them, the thing we learned, if you're giving a hesped, the live person should pay attention to what he's saying about death. And I've paid attention, and that's why I fainted straight away. Okay? It's fainted from his own speech. Right? Such a powerful speaker. Hamotzi meis mitzvah, somebody who finds a meis mitzvah, raise him a top elbow, you deal with him, but cover and come and you bury him where you find him. You don't schlep him to the city. Amos said went to the Trubas Mansion, you found him more than 2,000 almost away from the city. Amotza told you found him 2,000 almost within the city, distance from the city. I raise him via Malkam first, you bring him to the base of first, cover B'Torah Tchum, and you bury him there. Amr Akiva, a very famous story. Akiva said, this is where it was when I first began to learn by Chachamim. Once I was walking down the road, Mutzati made sense that I found his mitzvah. And I dealt with him, 4 meal, which is 4 times the amount of person about. Until I brought him to a graveyard, I buried him there. Shibasi, it's a Rabbi Lezer, it's a Rabbi Shum, and I came to Rabbi Lezer, Rabbi Shum, my Rabbeim. On my time, I said, I told them over this Maisa. They said, I'll go, psia, every step you took, Mali Molechu, we consider you Ke'ilu, Shafach the David, like you spilled blood. Because the Meit Shritzel was supposed to be buried where he was found. Amarti, I said, at that time, in B'shoshis, Kavanti, Skusa, when I had him mind to do a good thing. This Chafti, I muffed up and did a bad thing. B'shosh Loris Kavanti, when I didn't have in mind to do a good thing, Alachas Kama V'Kama, how much more so? So obviously, I know nothing. Well, so at that moment, from that moment on, I never deviated from following my Rebbeim to know what to do. Who used to say, somebody who doesn't involve himself in learning for the Chachamim, he's liable to death, because that's what Rebbeim said about the Meis Mitzvah. And we'll stop here.